Can I ask a few questions, though, that are more specific about certain aspects of the Gnogenverse?
Yes.
For example, battles and racing. People are really excited about battling their Gnogons and ultimately racing their Gnogons. What is the time on that? What does that look like? How does rarity score play into all the future use cases that maybe we're not even aware of today?
So Gnogons mining will come out first, which comes after the GNG smart contract has been audited. So mining will come first, and then between battling and racing, I do foresee racing being the first one out. Both of these things, racing and battling, we want them to be the best versions of themselves, but I think putting the cart before the horse is very dangerous with so many different horizontals, and the money is very high stakes. And so with so many different areas of development, I think we will try to walk into the pool from the shallow end and build as we go along. So finding a balance between this and releasing things that don't waste people's time is where focus is. Like, again, blockchain games have this hypnotic effect on people for them to look at things that are not fun and then go on Twitter and tell everybody that they are fun. And then development speed-wise on these things, I think Q2, Q3 is when we can expect the GNG master smart contract. So we will be developing the 3D models and the racing mechanism prior to. So we could see Q3 and hopefully by the latest Q4 on some of the Gnogon things. Going to the next question about rarity, I'm really glad this is I have a chance to discuss this today. Of course, we had the Rarity Sniper release a couple days back, which was, I think it was a great moment for Elrond community in general. But I think these rarity scores are limiting the market participants' ability to understand what we're doing. Rarity is such an arbitrary number. It can be manipulated so heavily. I mean, go on the Rarity Sniper website. Go to some of the most popular collections, and the top 30 are hand selected one of ones drawn by the artist or the dev team. And then when you actually look at the attributes, it's totally rigged. They don't use the same traits as the entire rest of the collection. So they pretty much made a nested collection within the big collection using entirely different traits because they're trying to manipulate the market. They want these big sales to come out front because the hype cycle will drive the rest of the collection. And this is very obvious across the board, and this is something I really didn't like as an NFT collector myself. So when we made Gnogons, one of the big goals was like, let's make a project that's so unique, innovative, and useful where people are not even looking at the rarity scores anymore. Let's become a true blue chip. And when you're a true blue chip, you never talk about the rarity score. Look at CryptoPunks and Bored Ape. Every time they have a sale, like, it's not always for the rarest one in that collection. Some people buy Bored Apes or CryptoPunks because it looks like them, and so those are some of the highest sales. I think rarity score is a little bit misunderstood by regular market participants.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I do have a question, though. You mentioned GNG mining. How does the GNG token come into play into all of this? I mean, what about the token? Where can we purchase it? Is it going to be on the Meyer exchange?
So our token is, I could go on for probably an hour about the token because we're really trying to do something that hasn't been done before with this token. some of my early conversations with VCs has been, why did you do this with the token? Why did you give all of it to the community? This is really going to hinder some aspects of getting investor funds. All right, first of all, I laid out a compelling argument for why that would not be the case for the VCs, and I think they agree to a large part of that. With that said, the token will be fairly mined using our NFTs, and it's not a guarantee that you'll get the token. You have to put in work. You've got to put up these NFTs for battle every single day, and even then, you're not guaranteed to get the token. So this mechanism will keep us out of the crosshairs of the SEC, in addition to us not getting any money to sell this token. Of course, we're leaving a lot of money on the table by going this route. But let's think long term and big picture here, right? If we really build the metaverse of the future, I'm talking about the biggest and best metaverse in the world. And the SEC has literally no legal ground or reason to come after GNG, not the least of which all the tokens will be sent to a smart contract. This is a play straight from the Dogecoin playbook. The Doge founder likely has a ton of Dogecoin, and he's probably likely continuing to mine an exorbitant amount of Doge every single day. And look at how Dogecoin got onto Robinhood. Dogecoin has a red carpet into every exchange because there is nobody for the legal body of governments to go after. There's no entity to go after. And this is how we're carefully constructing the GNG token. So maybe in year one and year two, you don't see this token. Let's be careful with our wording here. It's all utility at first, but it can turn into so much more, based on very natural paths. Paths that we don't have burn mechanisms or buybacks. It's like the coin of the people. We're trying to be the Bitcoin of the metaverse.
So with that being said, then what then do you really define the use case of GNG, and why would anyone in the IntoGVerse want to accumulate it?
Another great question. Heck, I want to accumulate GNG as well. I believe strongly in the long-term outlook of the token. But for people in the Gnogenverse, I think they need to zoom out and say, okay, this is going to be an open world. Well, we're going to get land. We know that. We've got a dragon, and we've got some other cool things. Hopefully, the other DAO partners integrate fully, and I think they will. So they can. I mean, you're going to need it to upgrade. Don't you want a house? And then don't you want furniture in the house? And then don't you want a 3D art gallery that's better than your neighbor's? And then don't you want to ride in a car to get over to your neighbor's land? These things will not be for free because somebody has to be paid to produce this stuff. And so that's where you guys can use the GNG, is to expand your imagination on your land. And for those who don't have land, I mean, there's still a lot of reasons you'd want GNG. So I urge everybody from day one, from the first second the mining opens, please partake, even if you don't see the reasons for needing the token right away. And then the rest is on us to build and continue to make crazy use cases. But we already have, I think, over 20 real, simple, straightforward use cases. Our trading card game, you're going to need GNG for that. You're going to need GNG for Gnogons Racing. You're going to need GNG for the Metaverse. By the way, you're going to need GNG for all of the DeFi products that we build. We're going to have a DEX within our metaverse where all Gnogen DAO tokens can be traded and have DeFi products built using them. This is like the definition of a utility token.
So, what is the end of the year from now look like to you? How does this all come together? What does the rest of 22 look like a year from now?
Well, this might be the craziest year for me as a person. I don't think it'll be the craziest year for Nogen in general, but because we're very early and because we have so many ambitions for this year, it's jam packed from January 1st to December 31st. It'll be an insane amount of pushing to the limits every single day. But I'll tell you what, it's been great so far. I wake up with a ton of energy and enthusiasm. I think the Discord can feel that. This is beyond a passion project. This is something that has the potential to bring about, of course, some negative consequences, but it depends on everybody. And it could also have some crazy positive consequences as well. This year, I laid out some of the things on our roadmap. We've got to get that master smart contract developed, and then we've got to audit it with the DeFi level CertiK audit, and then all these major smart contracts that we build, we have to audit those at a DeFi level, and hopefully we have some partnerships where the security will be beefed up to the maximum. And then art is going to be continuing to come out all year. And this is why we need to have these spaces, because I've gone all this time and we haven't even talked about Nogen Comics yet. Nogen Comics is going to be the next big hero universe. I think just I'm looking at the sketches and the artworks for these other characters and seeing them all on one piece of artwork. That's going to be really special to be able to finally open up this fan and show this range that's hidden right now. So Nogen Con is also happening in sometime in July or August. Nogen Con, we discussed in Discord a little bit. It's gonna be massive. Like, we will have so much money to have prizes that are actually like crazy prizes, cars and very valuable NFTs, and we're awarding DApp developers with $100,000. We're having a lot of partners come in looking at this event as well. It'll really be a celebration of Elrond. This is an Elrond obsessed event, and I'm glad that it's going on in Los Angeles to give the American market a little bit better of a look at Elrond. And that's another really important thing to me, to be out in LA and have a physical presence there. Hopefully we can spread Elrond in America a lot more in 2022. And that's the overarching gravity pulling us to the end of the year. It's this desire to see Elrond's technology and team and community elevated internationally where it has to be, where it should be.
And we speak of Elrond and also Elrond NFT Ecosystem. I think you are in a unique position to see a lot of things that many don't. How do you feel about the overall Elrond NFT ecosystem? What insights can you share from that?
I think I look at it from two point of views. The first one is from being an Ethereum NFT collector and enjoying NFTs a little bit before Elrond kicked off. I have a point of view on that. And then from being inside the community as a creator, but also as a fan of a lot of these collections, I have an opinion on this. From the perspective of the outside user, they're still not flooding in in very large numbers. And I think that's a great sign, because those of us who are already in the ecosystem know, like KNOW, we know that the technology is better, that the user interface is better, that the transaction speeds are better, that the transaction costs are better. Like, everything works. When you use smart contracts on Deadware and some of these other marketplaces, eMoon is developing them as well. Everything works. You get your NFT, the eGold comes out of your wallet as it should, and then everything processes in under 10 seconds. With this kind of NFT technology, that means that the Elrond ecosystem needs to do a better job of grabbing some of this attention. Some of that is going to happen naturally. I think there's a natural adoption curve being played out right now. And I do think the end result of that has to end in a blow off top of adoption for Elrond NFTs. We spoke a little bit in a previous spaces that Coinbase's NFT sign up list was past 1 million users like a month or so ago. I think all of them and more will come to the Elrond blockchain. And I think this is going to have some crazy cascading domino effects, because if all the users and volume come to Elrond, suddenly all of these dApps have to integrate the Elrond blockchain, because all of this activity happens on the ESDT standard. So now you have OpenSea saying, "Oh, well, why didn't you say you guys were like this? Let's go ahead and integrate Elrond on blockchain." And we all know why they're not doing that now. Everything is built, their entire system and all their partners are built on Ethereum, which is why if you use the Coinbase wallet, you can swap just like Uniswap on the Coinbase app. So it's very much a conflict of interest for Coinbase not to put Elrond on the map. But with the adoption, they'll have no choice. And then from being in the Elrond NFT ecosystem, I think there needs to be a big jump in overall talent across the board. And I say this with love. There are some collections that are trying their absolute best to deliver at a level that is respectable for Ethereum and Solana and Cardano NFT enthusiasts. But many, many, many brands are taking advantage of the enthusiasm of the Elrond community to release substandard art. I think both the buyers and the artists need to take their next step up in terms of quality.
If we could circle back then to Gnogen, I mean, I think you did a really good job giving us insight on the short, medium, long term of Elrond NFT ecosystem, where we've been, where we're headed. Could you do the same? I know you've kind of done that already, but really kind of sum it up, Gnogen overall, the short, medium, long term for Gnogen.
I don't want to rest on the laurels of another brand, but I think what we're doing is so new that people have no frame of reference of what we are. And the name doesn't help, right? We're Gnogen. Like, what does that even mean? That's not even a word we've ever used. So there's a ton of ambiguity from those who are casual observers. Those who are hardcore observers know exactly what we're doing. They know exactly where we're going. They know exactly where we come from and what our values are. And so I would first urge a lot of the casual observers to do, like, come on in. Like, there was some FOMO and some hype, and that scared you, but like, how long is it going to be before you give it a chance, and before you read some of the things that we're doing? How much longer can you hold this off? That's my challenge to everybody. Gnogen is going to be if the marvel that we all know and love held hands with Pokemon, and then they decided to sell this merger of Marvel and Pokemon to Facebook's Meta, and they all decided to make a metaverse together with all of these components. And then they also decided to champion the Elrond blockchain in every single thing that they do and put their money where their mouth are and support the Elrond ecosystem in a lot of ways. That's what you're looking at with Nogen. And there's no two ways about that. That's our goal, but there needs to be a ton of execution from here to the top of the mountain, and this mountain is the biggest mountain in the world. It will take an effort that's never been done to reach the top of it, or else we would already have the metaverse right now.
You touched on a couple interesting points there. One, and I know you brought it up earlier, but you mentioned Pokemon. Can we go back to the Nogen trading card game? Is there any further details on that?
So one of the things I loved about Elrond when I read their white paper was that they deeply studied the market and the leaders of the market, and they studied their pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, and then they decided to iterate beyond on all the pros and then focus heavily on being the opposite of all the cons. And this is my approach to everything as well. Pokemon is no different. When I was growing up playing, collecting cards, there was a chasm in my heart because Yu-Gi-Oh was far more exciting to play. I could play it all night, dueling friends or my brothers. But Pokemon was far more collectible. It unlocked a part of the imagination that Yu-Gi-Oh was never able to tap into. There are some theories that I have about what played into each, right? Like Pokemon probably wishes their gameplay was as fun as Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh probably wished that their collectability was as high as Pokemon. So, with this in mind, these are my two guiding principles to coming up with the trading card game. Our artwork has to unlock the same feeling as the Pokemon collectability, and our gameplay has to be even better than the one that Yu-Gi-Oh was able to offer us as children. That's all I can say for now. Save up some money if you want these decks. I guarantee you that you're going to want them.
Awesome. Well, I just have one last question. Maybe the most exciting that perhaps that most people really want to know. Is there any cool tech innovations, any alpha that you can drop that has not been revealed yet on the Nogen roadmap?
Good question. New things that I haven't revealed yet. Aside from like the concrete business deals not being finalized, let's think about the tech. There's things that we kind of revealed but didn't go into any details, and they're actually going to be quite significant. But because of the other things, they're far more significant. We haven't really touched on them. Um, like I'm really trying to get with HoloRide. I've got some connections to get an audience with them, so I'm kind of waiting for the right moment. But it would be great to see Midas and Gnogons and the lore. It's the lore. We're not just going to have these levels that don't make sense. I would love for people to be able to experience the stories as a participant with VR. That would be really cool. And then I think with the amount of revenue that is to be generated with this kind of platform, what I'm really excited about is the ability to be our own research and development division. Maybe not initially, but I foresee a future where we are massively supporting development on Elrond blockchain and in the real world as well, pushing science and innovation in as many areas as we can be involved in, and then acquisitions of companies to where we can have greater control over technology, because right now so much of what everybody is using on a day-to-day basis is controlled by a few extremely powerful tech companies, and they are gatekeepers in every sense of the word. So if we could have some better decentralization on the big things that everybody needs, and if we could play a role in making that happen, that's one of the big things we would like to do with some of the money that comes in.
We've been going on for about 40 minutes or so. Do you have 10 or 15 minutes to open up to the community, ask some questions?
I'm sure that's why a lot of people came, so I would love to do that. Let's do it.
All right. Anybody who would like to come on stage, just raise your hand. You can request to come on stage, or if you hit emoticon 100, we can bring you up and have you talk with Josh.
Actually, let's, some people are doing 100 just because they agree with what's being asked or said. So if we could, Rob, could we just limit it to people who make an official request on this spaces?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for letting me ramble for 40 minutes. Let's take some good questions.
All right. We do have our first request. Knights of the Round Table.
Welcome, sir.
All right, Knight, you are up on stage.
Hey. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. And the thecyple is a good pal. I think we've spoken a few times on DMs. My question is, what's your next unique selling point for NFTs? Because there's been a few things from DAOs to prizes to just kind of cool art, but there needs to be the next evolution, which is the next step. And I ask this question to kind of any time I'm on a group, and nobody seems to know what the next step is, because if you go back to DeFi, it was all about APRs and how high your APR is, and then that all collapsed. It completely collapsed. So NFTs, 99.9% of NFTs will disappear, and this is guaranteed. Yes. But what's your next unique selling point? Thank you.
Thank you, Knight. I have had some good conversations with you, and thank you for coming up and asking this question. It's good to hear your voice. Our selling point would be as soon as our utility is live. I mean, if volume is good now, wait until you can mine GNG, and then if you thought volume would be good after that, wait until you can spend the GNG. And then if you thought it was good after that, wait until people realize we don't sell GNG. So there are a wild variation of experience, and so let's see what some of the industry experts have to say, and I will come back to the community with some updates on this.
Awesome. Yeah. So that basically would just be my suggestion, is to go for, like, as far as graphics and everything, if, you got to start small and let more people in and then like upgrade later. That's like probably going to allow for more participation.
Certainly. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. It's going to be a balance, as mentioned before, between iterating at a pace that's responsible, developing at a responsible pace while, delivering on our promise to offer a way better experience than what you see now.
I super appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time. I'll step down so other people can ask questions.
Thank you very much.
All right. If anybody would like to come on stage, please request. We don't have any current requests up right now.
Oh,
Josh,
okay.
if there's anything you wanted to continue to touch on, give a moment here for anyone to request.
Yeah, maybe we were pretty comprehensive today in some of these answers and questions. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, I think we'll give maybe another 30 to 60 seconds for anyone to make a request. And if not, today's Sunday. We have a lot of enjoying to do. For me, it's like super cold and freezing rain over here, but still nice to be home.
All right. We have special guests here, Wesley Kress.
Special guest indeed. Hello, Wesley.
Hey, Joshua. Thanks so much. It was incredible hearing and listening to all the detail and incredible communication of articulating where Gnogen is going, and also just all the sort of back-end strategic planning that you're doing and also envisioning. It's very, very impressive.
Thank you.
I would personally be interested a little bit in terms of, what sparked all of the vision and passion and obviously purpose behind Gnogen and the Metaverse. And obviously you touched on earlier a little bit about, growing up, collecting Pokemon, and obviously the Yu-Gi-Oh gameplay, and sort of interacting with gaming and so forth. But obviously with Gnogen, for the people who are directly connected, the name itself has quite a bit of meaning behind it. With Gnosis and generation, obviously them being wisdom and truth of this generation, and that's sort of how you named it. But there's a lot of meaning that goes behind it, and I can hear it in your voice. I can see it in the actions you're taking. I can see how clear you're going at things. Can you just give me a little bit better understanding of all of this from maybe you growing up and how this sort of got sparked and sort of the journey in all of this?
Definitely. I think, Wesley, you're no stranger to the concept you introduced to me, which is the fourth turning. I think that, after researching some of that, a lot of it makes like a lot of sense. And obviously, way smarter people than me believe very heavily in some of those theories. So without getting too much into like my belief in those theories, I will say something that we can all agree on is that there is such a thing as a zeitgeist. The zeitgeist, for those unfamiliar with the term, I would look into it, but the zeitgeist is the cumulative snapshot of the second of which you take this snapshot. It's the cumulative sum of the culture and the wisdom and the knowledge, but also the lies and the betrayal and the deceit. It's everything. It's the yin and the yang combined, and it's a snapshot of it when you're looking at the state of the world. And so, the current zeitgeist, I think, has been dropping some hints to humanity. You had Ready Player One, which I talked a lot about, and some animes as well go heavily into the metaverse. Sword Art Online is one that I saw briefly. They are, heavily about like metaverse and like I won't give too many spoilers, but there's like a master architect that builds this metaverse, and we saw that in Ready Player One as well. So I would say these things had an effect on the subconscious. And then if we come to the short term and look at the conscious mind, I wanted to make an NFT on Elrond because the Elrond NFT marketing video was like pure hype. I mean, inject that straight into my blood. That was awesome. And then I got super excited about that. I had always had this passion for superheroes. And then I felt like when Tony Stark died, everything just went down from there. Of course, there were some great movies that I enjoyed, but overall, it seems like Marvel has lost its heart, its soul. And now you have DC. DC, I would watch Titans on HBO Max. I mean, that's really cool. It's like a gory adult version of Teen Titans. And then the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League was really good as well. But by and large, I mean, DC is also doing the same thing. There's only so many times, you have this great movie, and then Superman comes in the last 10 minutes and does one punch, and then it's over. Then I made a Midas because I'm seeing all these things in front of me, seeing that there's an opportunity, like a real big opportunity. And then I was like, okay, it makes perfect sense that Elrond is Emitis. Elrond is like this unappreciated genius, and it's not getting its due respect. But all it does is do everything the right way. All it does is not take shortcuts. All it does is look out for its community, and yet the ones getting the praise are the ones that do the exact opposite of all of these things. And so, Midas was very easy to make actually, because I'm like super obsessed about Elrond and everything about it. And then from there, I think the previously mentioned zeitgeist things started to show their face. It was like, okay, we can we can make this full universe of heroes and villains, but let's give them a 2022 backdrop and like Metaverse. There's no clear leader in the Metaverse space, and as Benjamin alluded to, this is a true arms race because everyone sees a massive opportunity, a very real opportunity. Thank you for your question, sir.
Thank you so much, Joshua. That was an incredible answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We do have several more people who requested. If you'd like to still answer, Josh.
Let's do it.
All right. We just brought up G Gold.
Hello, hello.
Hello, thank you for welcoming me on this Twitter Spaces, and thank you for everything that you're doing with building this with Gnogen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of it. I woke up to an early alert this morning that the floor was just pumping like crazy. I was able to sell one of my comics. I kind of regret selling it now, but it's definitely is definitely going to change my my life and a lot of my family's life because I'm probably going to gift them the eagle to farm.
Wow.
So that in itself is just, I just wanted to thank you for that. I had one main question. I was wondering with I don't know if you're familiar with DeFi Kingdoms on Harmony, but they've found a way to incorporate an exchange as well as kind of like NFT marketplace with utility and everything all into one game. And I was wondering if do you have any plans for that particular sort of or bringing something like that to Elrond as well?
Yes, 100%, 100%. I have not actually looked into DeFi Kingdoms, and first and foremost, I'm super humbled, and it's very uplifting to hear that NFTs have changed some lives, and so thank you for sharing that. As far as what we want to have in NogenVerse, like, of course, we minted some Nogons, and of course, we're going to have some land. And I don't think people realize how big one parcel of land is going to be. If you want to build an entire stadium on one parcel, it's going to be pretty big, I would say. We're going to have a metropolis, right? It's not going to be called that. It's going to be a capital. We're going to try to build it such as the art found in Elrond's marketing materials.
Well, thank you for sharing that enthusiasm with us.
Thank you for asking that question, and best of luck with everything.
All right, we have Elrond Quack.
Quack, quack. Welcome.
Hey, welcome. Morning, afternoon, wherever you are. First off, awesome to hear how passionate you are about your project. It definitely brings me high conviction in your team. So congrats on that. I've got a question with regards to the upcoming drop. You mentioned that the Gnogon holders will be able to purchase the next Supreme Heroes.
Yes.
And just one, maybe, I don't know, you're probably thinking about it, but already within my friends, we're talking about whether or not to open additional wallets and stuff like that. I think I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Not just
So
right?
I'm just curious how you're gonna prevent that from happening. Maybe 1-for-1 or something to kind of prevent from people doing that. Actually.
Yeah, great question. Great question. I think brand that has limited release drops and scarcity, they are going, and the ones that especially release on extremely fast transaction and low transaction costs blockchains like Elrond, they're all going to run into the same problem of how do we fairly treat all the market participants, from the original supporters to the early adopters to people who have been waiting a long time to join the Gnogen ecosystem, and they're just waiting for their first opportunity. And then there's also people who um, are from outside ecosystems that would like to casually stroll in and be able to get one of these on a given day. There's a lot of things to juggle in the drop mechanism. It's one of the most challenging things, I think, for a lot of NFT brands. And you almost never get it perfect. You always let somebody down, to be honest. But our way of combating it the best we can would be to keep secret a lot of the details about the drop, something we were not doing in the past. We were telegraphing a lot of our moves and strategies because we wanted to be very transparent. But I think people, there's a way to prove transparency after the fact as well. They can look at our code and look at the smart contract and look at all the people buying, and they will be able to confirm even after the fact that things were done above the board fairly. Um, that's the first thing that we can do, and then another layer to combat some of this stuff is the lottery system that we have. So you won't just be able to log in and then the fastest one is going to get it. You won't be able to do that. We'll have a lottery system that'll be supported with our upcoming Discord bot. That is, uh, it's ready. So now we're just doing one last final checkup before that goes online, possibly today. And so, with this verification system, with the lottery, and then with not telegraphing so clearly how everything is going to work, this will be all we can do on the front end to combat this. And then we'll learn all the lessons that we can after this first act, and continue to iterate until we can't anymore.
Yeah, thanks for your reply. That was spot on. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, we have Knight one more time.
Welcome
Sorry
back.
to come in again, but I think Amanda mentioned something. Again, I'm one of the ones who got in Emidas Act 1 and did have to sell it. My family hit a rough patch, and the money it generated absolutely solved it, like really, really did. And I've spoken to Josh by DMs about this, how helpful that is. So NFTs can change your life if you pick the right one. My question, the second one, and I do apologize that I came in twice, I absolutely love the film Ready Player One. Like, it is insane. I've watched it so many times. I've just now introduced it to my children to watch it. I think it came out 3 years ago, if I can remember. I think I've watched it 20, 30 times. I 100% believe this will be reality. Like, there is nothing that can stop me believing. I'm afraid a big part of humanity will live in the metaverse, and I'm afraid we will live in little shacks, because this is where the world is going to. Like, no matter what you're trying to tell me, no, it's not going to happen, I believe the metaverse will happen. The issue is how long do you think we have before this becomes our reality? That's my question. Do we have a decade, or is exponential going to cause this happen within 3 years? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, and it was totally fine for you to come up twice. Thank you for sharing publicly. You really didn't have to do that, but thank you. I could tell it was from a place of wanting to show your appreciation. Again, hearing things like that is something that stops your day in its tracks. It's hard to focus and refocus on the granular things you're working on because um, you don't anticipate that when you make an NFT collection that it will like sometimes act as like a safety net trump card that you can activate at any moment to save your situation or the people around you. And going forward, I want to make my NFTs even more like that because like I'm so overfilled with joy whenever I hear things like that. As to your question about how long do we have, so the film Ready Player One, I think it has a lot of like reactions to it. Some of the reactions are like blaming technology, but you have to blame the politicians. The politicians are the ones destroying things, destroying the harmony, and you also have to blame the citizens of the world by allowing a few people to just yank us around like we're a rag doll. We are the people, and we own everything, and they don't want us to own everything because once we don't own everything, we're a lot easier to control. So the speed at which Ready Player One becomes reality will not be some overjoyed sense that we want to live in the metaverse. The metaverse will be like a medicine to us to escape the world that the politicians are rapidly deteriorating around us. I think if I wanted to put a time on it, uh, it looks like we're in for a heck of a next 8 years, 9 years. It really does. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a huge call to action right now for everybody to be a lot more serious with everything. Serious in your daily intention on how you want to live and be and contribute. Serious in how you pay attention and parse good information versus manipulative information, and also to keep people accountable, which that seems to be a runaway train, right? So the best we can do is prepare in our own little spheres, and then also join up with like-minded people, and maybe the metaverse can even help that. Maybe I would say we have 8 years would be like the soonest I can see Ready Player One happening.
All right, thank you, Josh. We have two more requests. If you want to take these last two and wrap it up after that.
Yeah, sure. Let's take two more questions.
Okay. First, we actually have Dr. G here.
Doctor, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for your time. I had a couple quick things on the trading card game.
Yes.
The one would be, are we gonna see like seasonal or yearly additional cards added to the game? And are we going to get them in packs? And could we potentially not open those packs to sell as sealed packs later?
Wow. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we will have seasons because of how labor intensive the process is, because these are all original characters with full lore behind each one. And kind of this is like an alpha drop, but the really cool side effect of making fully 3D, like Marvel level CGI trading cards and investing in them early is that once you make a 3D model, you can use it over and over again in animation. So it would be very like time saving and capital saving to there's a lot of cool things coming with with the trading card game 3D stuff. Yes, they will come in booster packs. Let's see on the blockchain side if it's possible to have the NFTs in the packs on the chain without being revealed, without having it be too centralized on our end. That's a challenge, technically speaking. So I'll get with the dev team and see if you can keep packs unopened. But that's a great idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last question, fam.
Last question, we have Amanda one more time.
Welcome back,
Hey
man.
guys, thank you. So I was just thinking about, we were, talking about the Ready Player One sort of scenario coming out, and I don't know how many of you in here lived before the internet became a thing. That probably like half of us, right?
Yes.
So so to just take a step back and look at everything that happened from when we were 12 or 11 and up until now,
Mm.
and how much advancement has been made, and how we witnessed the necessity for smartphones
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about the government and how we need to interact with it now amidst COVID and everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything is shifted to online. If you don't have a computer, you can't function in society,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah, it's stuff of
how
revelation too, right?
right. I mean, how scary would it be if you needed a freaking Oculus, or, pardon my language, but you get what I'm saying? If you needed to be plugged in order to access the DMV.
Right. Right.
So it's it's not like a crazy assumption that we will go in that direction.
Yeah, I think and this is what Knight was saying, this is what you're saying, Amanda, and I think a lot of people here in this chat, I would be shocked if it was not the majority of the people here, felt that the metaverse is an inevitability by every perspective and every angle. We already have visually what it would look like from many different artists. This is humanity this is what the zeitgeist really is. We are creating something in unison, and maybe we don't see this. All of humanity efforts are intertwined. Like, this is very, very obvious. When electricity was discovered in one exact room, everybody in the world has electricity. And so this is very clear that we are all intertwined, writing this story of humanity in unison. And the voice of one says the metaverse is an inevitability. I agree with you.
We're going to need to offer NFT incentives for people to go farm their backyard.
We'll give you G&G if you make some real tomatoes in real life.
Love
Man,
it.
that could be. I mean, like right now, you have it the opposite way, where your efforts in the metaverse can be swapped out for real world benefits. But maybe what you're saying is not in the distant future. But I don't want to be grim. There's no need to be. There's so, like, if you look at the world, um, the news is getting better at sensationalizing, and it's even harder for us to decipher between fake and real. But by and large, we are we're at a place we've never been before in terms of quality of life. And so it doesn't have to be grim. This same conversation can be had with other very intelligent people, but they're all talking about some of the great things that the metaverse will bring about, some of the innovations to medicine, and the ability for people who are abused in their homes to escape reality for a short time. And maybe people who can't afford music lessons can go in the metaverse and have music lessons given to them for free by volunteers. Maybe the rate at which human beings could help each other could jump off the chart. And so this is also Nogen. Look at our logo. Everything is good and bad at the same time. And it's the person that walks the path that can create reality how they wish.
I think that's an amazing point that you made for people having educational resources where, in the past we would have said you really need to be with someone to be able to pick up those skills.
Yes, yes.
But this is kind of an intermediary where you can apprentice for, whatever skill you could imagine to want.
Like, imagine learning the electrical trade from the metaverse and not having to get blown up while you're learning, um, or learn plumbing without, or at least get primed on the basics of plumbing before you have to go into a crawl space and have that leak all over you if you do something wrong. So, like, the potential for the metaverse is far beyond the potential of what the internet gave us. But that's kind of facetious because like the internet gave birth to the metaverse, but you guys kind of get what I mean.
I totally agree. And I think that kind of, that perspective should help a lot of us as far as the uneasy feelings that come with all of it. Thank you. I'm going to step down again, but I appreciate talking on the subject.
Thank you. That was a great way to end the conversation, in my opinion. Everybody, thank you for coming out today and using some of your valuable time to learn about what we're all building over here at Gnogen. We'll continue to have these spaces whenever there's sufficient updates to bring to the community. And that's the way we'd like to keep these things. So thank you. And I hope everybody has a great week and be well until we meet again.
Hey, Josh.
Yes.
Just a couple things I'd like to add just briefly.
Of course.
I'd like to thank everybody who joined Spaces today. I'd like to thank you, of course, especially. I encourage everybody to follow Gnogen on Twitter. Jump into our Discord, Telegram. We have an excellent community support mod team there to help assist, point, guide, and direct at any time. My name is Rob, IntoGVerse. I do have an article pinned, tweet, our Gnogen Medium article, where you can learn all about the backstory of Midas and Gnogons. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the conversation. Appreciate everybody being on here. Everyone have a great Sunday.
We're all going to make it. See you guys.